we need to take time to be present to our past. I genuinely believe that the Bible consistently challenges us, consistently encourages us to work to be present to our past. Not imprisoned to our past, not stunted by our past, but to be present to it. To be present of the past, not just of our lives, but of the lives that have gone before us. To be present to the stories of our community that have woven through a multitude of trajectories that have brought about the moment where you are in the present. For if we are never present to our past, we will have a difficult time understanding and seeing the movements of God in the future. Today, I want us to reflect on Joshua chapter 4. Joshua chapter 3 begins with the crossing of the Israelites being led by Joshua, who has now picked up the baton from Moses, who's being led by Joshua across the Jordan River and into the Promised Land. Whenever they come up to the Jordan River, Joshua gives instructions to the elders to take the Ark of the Covenant, to go out and to stand into the Jordan River itself. And then he says, and then he promises that the Jordan River, like the Red Sea, will stop flowing, will cease, will become dry land so that all the Israelites can cross. And so you see the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant. You see them move up to the Jordan itself. And as they step in, it stops flowing. Miraculously begins to dam up, to cease the movement so that the ground can become dry and the people can walk. And as this miracle is happening, as the elders and the priests are standing on the dry ground in the Jordan, Joshua chapter 4 verse 4 says, so Joshua called together the 12 men he had appointed from the Israelites, one from each tribe, and said to them, go over before the ark of the Lord your God into the middle of the Jordan. Each of you is to take up a stone on his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of the Israelites, to serve as a sign among you. He goes over to them and he says, I want you to go into the very center of the miracle, into the very heart of the Jordan that is now dry land so that we can walk across. And I want you to pick up a rock and carry it with you. Not some small rock, one that you actually have to hoist up on your shoulder. And all 12 of them do this. And after everyone goes across the dry ground of the Jordan, as the waters come crashing down after the Ark of the Covenant and the priest step out of the Jordan, you now have these Israelites that have moved into a new land carrying 12 stones. And in chapter 4, verse 19, we begin to understand what Joshua's strategy is for those stones. Chapter 4:19. On the 10th day of the first month, the people went up from the Jordan and camped at Gilgal on the eastern border of Jericho. Now listen to this. And Joshua set up at Gilgal the 12 stones they had taken out of the Jordan. He said to the Israelites, in the future when your descendants ask your parents, what do these stones mean? Tell them, Israel crossed the Jordan on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the Jordan before you until you had crossed over. The Lord your God did to the Jordan what he had done to the Red Sea when he dried it up before us until we had crossed over. He did this so that all the people of the earth might know that the hand of the Lord is powerful, and so that you might always fear the Lord your God. You know, what Joshua's trying to prevent from us is this. Sometimes we get so rooted in one place. Sometimes we get so caught up in the grind of daily life that we stop noticing or remembering the movements of God in our past. What Joshua is saying is it's important in our lives to put up, stacks of stones. To put things in our life that remind us of the miraculous movement of God that have brought you to this moment, that have brought you into the sacred moment that is now, even at this point, climaxing to the point where you and I are present virtually, experiencing the miracle of this moment together. Maybe not in the same place. Maybe not even at the same time I'm speaking this is not the same time that you're listening to this. But there's a miracle of this moment where the amount of things that could have happened where this moment would not have happened, whether in my life or in your life or in so many other people's lives, makes each moment an incredible, incredible gift. But a present life that does not take time to engage the beauty of God's movement in the past is like a boat out on sea without an anchor. Here's what my challenge is for you this week. Stack up stones. Stack stones. Look for key moments in your life where God did something on the level of an exodus, where God did something on the level of a liberation, and stack up stones. Return back to those sites of those miracles in your heart and life where God brought you out of a dark place, or where God interacted with you for the first time, or where God called you into his family. Visit those sites and stack up stones. And I would also challenge you with this. Find someone in your community that has been doing this Christian thing for 40 or 50 years. And ask them to help you stack up some stones. Ask them their story. Ask them the time in which they felt God moving in their lives the most powerfully. Ask them to pass on to you the moments of the stopping of the flow of the Jordan River in their lives. And add that to your pile of stones. You know, as a part of some of the middle to younger generation at this point in my life, I want to call all of us to make sure that we do not just relegate the wisdom of those that have come before us to merely door greeters and communion fillers. We need the older generations to hand us the stones of God's faithfulness so that we will know how God has moved in the past, so that it can anchor us in the present, so that it can ultimately launch the church out into a healthy and a holy future. Find someone this week that maybe you don't know their story, but ask for them to share the gift of their past so that in the present you can stack up the stones of God's faithfulness and hopefully to anchor your faith as you march into the future. I love you guys. Have a good week.